Let's see. It says going live, so we will see if this will work. So the second try at it, so still having issues with it. But hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. We're 10 seconds in already, so obviously it seems to be working right now, so we'll see if that goes. It's Sunday, September 21st, 2025. It is literally the last day of summer. Fall starts at 2:19 p.m. tomorrow, Monday, September 22nd. So there's that to look forward to. This is the last of the summer, 2025. And it's going to be an interesting week with the Ravens playing on Monday Night Football. So I'm doing a Sunday night show. The Rapture is supposed to happen on Tuesday. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Also, we got two great films releasing on Blu-ray also on Tuesday. Something's going to happen on Wednesday, but I forget what it was. And then my daughter might be coming home for the weekend, next weekend, as long as we are still alive here. So we'll see what happens. And I finally found it. I found Mountain Dew Trolley. Zero sugar dew cherry lemon flavor. So I've heard really, really bad things about this. So I'm not excited to try it, but we will try it here live in a second. But this is a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 625, last of the summer wine. As I said, this is literally the last day of summer. It is NFL football time, as I said, and I'm not watching because my team doesn't play till tomorrow night. So I figured I'd do this. Next week, the Ravens have the 4:25 game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Don't know what will happen then with my daughter being in town. I'll have to take her back to UMBC. So I don't know if I'll do it this show Saturday night or whatever. Haven't decided yet. So we'll see what happens. My son will be camping with the Cubs that next weekend. So we'll see what happens. My son has off on Tuesday for Rosh Hashanah. So everything's happening on Tuesday. So we got the Rapture, Rosh Hashanah, and the Blu-rays. And there's something else why they're saying that the Rapture is going to happen Tuesday, because something's going to happen in our crooked government that's not good for our crooked government people. So whatever is what it is. So let's get on it with, shall we? 2:19 p.m. September 22nd, tomorrow, is the official autumnal equinox, first day of fall. Literally is, it will officially be here at 2:19 p.m. Eastern time. That'll be the time when the Earth is equidistant between the sun and itself. Temperature's going to start dropping. Leaves are going to start changing. We're going to start getting into the holiday months. I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I figured why not? It's the last day of summer, so I'm very happy for that. We survived, and here we are. Saw my daughter this week. Had to pick her up from UMBC on Thursday, where she goes to school, and take her to Anne Arundel Community College, which is, if we were coming from here, is about 50 minutes away. From UMBC, it was about 30 minutes away, so it kind of sucked that I had to pick her up and take her to Anne Arundel County Community College down near Pasadena for her final driving test with an instructor before she can get her license. She passed it, so she will have to make the reservation to get her license, and then she'll have her license. Wish we could do like what Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. did for their daughter, Charlotte, whose birthday was on Friday, who's turned 16. She is roughly about a little less than a month younger than my son. That's why I have a dream that the two of them are going to hook up in college and get married, and I'll be the in-laws with Sarah and Freddie. But I digress. But they bought her a Jeep for her birthday because they're, popular film stars and TV stars, and had the money and able to do that. So good on that. Good on them. Didn't happen to my son. Ain't gonna happen for my daughter if she gets her license. So we'll see what happens. So that's what's going on with that. So it was good. She told me that she is helping a friend out with a project at school where they're making a short film about how humanities people want to take humanities majors but can't because they're not beneficial financially, so they have to take STEM stuff, but they miss their humanities stuff, and there's something about that. So my daughter said she would do the acting for this class project. It is a silent film because she's going to have to put up her information up on the screen, and music is going to be played by my daughter's roommate. So it's pretty cool. And just gave me the lowdown on some stuff. So she's doing pretty good. As I said, she may be back for her. She might be back home next weekend. She's talked about it, but we really haven't solidified anything yet. So we'll see if that actually does indeed happen. Superman and Flow, two great movies, will both be released on Blu-ray on Tuesday, the 23rd. I can still order them on Amazon now, but I've had the issue before where I ordered them when they're still under purchase order and then I don't get them for like a month or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till they drop on Tuesday. Then usually whatever ones they have in stock at the warehouse, you can order, they'll get here like the next day. So I'm hoping that's what's going to be the case with these. Maybe not Flow, we'll see, because that's a special kind of a specialized movie, but we'll see what happens. If I ordered Flow, it would not arrive here till October 5th. So we'll see what happens on Tuesday, see if that's still going to be the case. So we'll see. Indeed, that's when it's going to be happening. So yes, I didn't even know about this till I was looking on Threads recently that the rapture is due to happen on Tuesday, September 23rd. No time frame given yet. The first time they announced the rapture was back in, I believe, May 2011, and they said 6 p.m. Eastern time. It was when the rapture would happen. I just so happened to be at the Naval Academy with my family celebrating my cousin-in-law. He just finished his doctorate at the Naval Academy, and so he was getting ready to do his long-term work with them to pay off his college and his medical school. So there was, since he did go to Naval Academy, they're able to utilize buildings on the property. So we were invited to a graduation party on the grounds of the Naval Academy. And I was like, if the rapture does happen, we'll be in the safest place in the world, because you're not allowed on to the Naval Academy base without permission. So people who are going to be trying to come on to base are freaking out because of stuff would be going up against the Naval Academy, which is one of the branches of our military. So kind of interesting that. So we were in the safest place. So my kids were young at that time and they were antsy and didn't want to hang out in the building. So I took them out with my other two nephews who were young at the time also. And we just walked around the campus of the Naval Academy. And at 6 p.m., we stopped and paused to hear if the horn was going to blow and then people were going to get raptured, and nothing happened. So I was like, okay. And the next year was the Mayan calendar thing, 2012, same thing. That was December 21st. Nothing happened there. Then we've had that there's going to be another rapture at this time. Didn't happen. There's going to be end of the world this time. Nothing. So we've gone through so many that at this point right now, the way the world is right now, we would welcome the end of the world if it happens on Tuesday. But now they're saying that some people are saying the rapture is set for Tuesday, but others are saying that the end of the world is going to happen back in December, when the interstellar object, which is not a comet like what everybody says it is, but is actually an alien craft which is going to attack and destroy us, is going to be coming. So we'll see what happens. But yes, I'm very nonchalant about it because I don't believe it. I don't trust it. And I thought in the Bible it said that you would never know when the rapture was coming because God would never let you know, Jesus would never let you know. But then I learned that was actually made up in the 1830s. That is not officially in the Bible. So there's something new every day. So, but the one funny thing though is that there are a few people who are saying, when I heard the rapture was coming on Tuesday, he said that the MAGAs might utilize the Charlie Kirk assassination, or not assassination, murder, and say that that it was a faked, that they faked the attack on him, and then they buried him, and then he's going to rise 3 days after his funeral, which is today. So, or yesterday or something, yesterday or today or something like that. So it's roughly close to around the time the rapture would be occurring. So they say he's going to come back and it's going to change the way things are going, and religion, Christian nationalists are going to take over everything, and it's going to be wonderful. So people are saying that's why they're predicting the rapture to happen. They're going to bring him back because he's not really dead. He's been faking it. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it makes sense because his wife, who is in mourning, is fundraising for his America's First group, which she's now the head of, but the people don't like that because America's First is believed that women do not belong in power. They belong in the kitchen, making babies and having sex with their husbands whenever they require it. And if they get beat up, it's okay because they have no rights whatsoever. And to have a woman running their company is not sitting very well with that. Plus, it would prove why the felon was nonchalant about when they asked him how he's feeling about CK's death, and he just blew it off. That could be proof that they know he's alive and he's going to come back and freak everybody out, but that's a bunch of BS. So we'll see what happens. I doubt anything will happen anyway. You need to start just thinking about that. Superman and Flo will be coming out on Blu-ray on that date, so that's a big important time. All right, I put it off long enough. I'm not a big fan of this. I'm not a big fan of the Zero Sugar Dew. I've heard really nothing but bad things about this. And if this turns out to be sucky, it'll suck because this is the only Halloween thing we're getting. We're not getting a Voodoo this year, which sucks ass. Off the bat, it smells like cherry lemon, like a gummy. So here we go. It truly is gummy. So let's see if this is gummy flavored. Yeah, not a big fan of it. It's okay. The no sugar aspartame is really strong flavor in this. The cherry lemon does taste a little bit more candy oriented. If they would have done maybe a regular sugar one, maybe it would be better, but I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be, but it's not very good either. It's not one that I would drink consistently. As I said, the aspartame really, really, really overshadows the cherry lemon sort of candy flavor. People are saying it has sort of a fruit punch Kool-Aid flavor to it. Yeah, I can get that also as well. It's not terrible, but it's not great, and I'm disappointed that Mountain Dew is not doing a Voodoo. Now, if this was the Voodoo and they release it in regular sugar, maybe it'd be good, but I can't tell because the aspartame is so freaking strong that it's tasting like no sugar Mountain Dew with a back flavor of a Kool-Aid fruit punch cherry lemon flavor. Again, not as terrible as people are making it out to be, but it's not very good either. If you don't mind the taste of aspartame, go for it, man. I think you'll like it, but it's underwhelming. It's terrible. It looks like Commanders are. Did they win, or is it they just score again? Let's just see. Steelers beat the Patriots. Fuck. Oh, the Browns beat the Packers. Holy cow. That's insane. Eagles beat the Rams. Commanders beat the Raiders. The Colts beat the Titans. Colts are 3-0. Jaguars beat Texans. Texans are struggling right now. Vikings are getting ready to destroy the Bengals. So the Bengals get ready to lose their first game. 48-10. Jesus. Yeah, that's a four. So 48-10 Vikings over Bengals, 41-20 Colts over Titans, 41-24 Commanders over Raiders, 33-26 Eagles over Rams. That was a good game. Panthers shut out the Falcons. Jesus, 30-0. Fucking Steelers, 21-14. Fuck the Steelers. The Browns, that's a shocker. They beat the Packers 13-10. Wow. Buccaneers are up 26-20, have the ball, getting ready to get a field goal maybe to put it out of reach. Yep, so interesting. I kind of called that there'd be some upsets, and I'm not wrong. Let me see how my fantasy is doing. So I haven't cracked 100 yet, but he's catching up with me. It's going to be close. Yeah, I'm going to lose this one again. Let's see what happens. Jonathan Taylor, Indianapolis, running back, 35 points. Jesus. All right, well, it doesn't matter. As long as I win a game in fantasy, it doesn't matter. So there we go. That's Trolley for you. As I said, not as terrible as made out to be, but it's not great. It's underwhelming. The aspartame just way destroys the flavor. If they had a regular sugar one, maybe it would be decent. And the fact that they're not releasing a voodoo this year is very disappointing. So I guess we have to hope for next year's cream dirty Mountain Dew soda coming out. Might be good. But yeah, not terrible, but not outstanding. All right. So October 3rd is not only the day before my wedding anniversary, my 22nd wedding anniversary, but it is also the day that Taylor Swift is going to release her 12th studio album, Life of a Showgirl. She announced this week that the Murder of Ophelia or something like that, or the Ophelia song is going to be her first single from it, and that she's going to be releasing a behind-the-scenes film into movie theaters October 3rd through the 5th for that weekend. It'll have how she made the songs, how she wrote the songs, what influenced them. There's going to be a short movie in there, probably the video for one of them, and a whole lot of goodness for the Taylor Swift fans. Once it was announced, you could go online and start ordering tickets. $15 million worth of tickets have already been sold, and there hasn't even been a trailer release yet. And it just was announced like yesterday, or Friday, something like that. So it's going to do very well that weekend, it looks like, and we'll see what happens. So good on her for that. Sydney Sweeney's new film with Amanda Seyfried, The Housemaid, finally gets its first trailer. Was supposed to come out on Christmas. Now it looks like it's dropping earlier than that. We get the first trailer. It's hard to discern what the story's about. It looks a little like, at first, like a, maid is going to, played by Sydney Sweeney, is going to steal Amanda Seyfried's husband. But then there seems to be some sort of horror thing with Amanda Seyfried being a little psychopathic. So it's hard to tell what exactly is going on with it. So that's interesting. And then it just so happened that, Anaconda, the meta reboot with Jack Black and Paul Rudd, which also has come out on Christmas. I think it's still set for Christmas, released its first trailer this week as well, and it looks freaking hilarious. We now understand what it meant by meta. Jack Black and Paul Rudd play best friends whose dream has been to remake the movie Anaconda, and they finally, Jack Black, I think, writes the script. His character writes the script, and Paul Rudd's able to get their friends, including Steve Zahn, who's in it, to join them, and they're able to get some money to fly to the Amazon to remake Anaconda. They met a animal wrangler who has a real anaconda who's been trained to help them out, so they're going to film in the Amazon, but it looks a lot like it's going to be a Tropic Thunder sort of thing where the real anaconda gets eaten by this giant anaconda, which is what the movie is kind of based on. And so now they realize that there is a giant anaconda stalking and hunting them, and they have to survive. So basically they're living the movie that they were wanting to make. Kind of like, as I said, kind of like a Tropic Thunder thing. That's the main thing I got when I watched the trailer. It looks funny. It looks good. And the fact that Steve Zahn is in it also is crazy. I didn't know he was in it also. So pretty decent. So we'll definitely take a look at that also. Fat Bear Week starts next week also. So we'll look forward to that as well. For those who don't know, Fat Bear Week, there's a national park somewhere out west when all the animals on there have been tagged for the most part, so they can track where they're going and make sure that, if they don't hear from one, they can check up on it, see that it's okay, blah, blah, blah. And they picked like a dozen bears that are chonky because they're getting ready to build up their stores for their winter hibernation. So Fat Bear Week has them picking, like, say, 12 bears and putting them in like an NCAA tournament sort of bracket. And you pick who you think is the fattest bear of each level. It goes down till you get to the final two. And then you vote on who the final two winner is. And that's going to become named the Fat Bear of the year. So Fat Bear Week is always fun, and it's interesting to see that. Also on a new bird nest camera, there's a bird nest camera that's trained on an eagle's nest, not the one that everybody was talking about earlier this year, that gets shut off during the summer while nothing really is happening. And so they shut it off and then they restart it right around this time to get it going through the fall and winter and so on and so forth. Because by then the eggs have been laid, and it's watching them sit on the eggs and waiting for the babies to hatch. So they turn the camera back on, and we're surprised to see a goose and her eggs in the eagle's nest, and right next to her was the eagle with her eggs. So it is two female birds sitting on each other on their eggs, sharing one nest, and they're doing it nicely. There's no, as far as we can tell so far, there's no attacking by either on the other one. They're just sitting there making sure that their babies are taken care of. So that's kind of a sort of interesting story to look into. So that's kind of neat to see that coming up there. Long-armed creature with a triangular head and rows of dagger-like spikes down their spine has been discovered in Vietnam. Now, this doesn't appear to be like a cryptid or anything. It appears to be maybe a potentially new species. No pictures yet have been taken of it, but it was announced like on a science page. It wasn't a faux science or a supernatural science one. So I guess we'll hear about this more down the line. Toys R Us is set to be coming back with a flagship store here locally at Arundel Mills, which is a pretty nice sized mall sort of area. So they're going to have the first freestanding Toys R Us store coming out for this holiday season, which could be a flagship shop for more stores to start popping up around the country again. I think there's other ones going up in other states as well, but this is the one that's happening in Maryland. My daughter has been loving going to Arundel Mills, so that's kind of cool for her to be able to do that. Last week, I think I talked to you about Sean Astin being elected as the SAG president. Well, this week, Christopher Nolan was chosen as the Directors Guild president. So good on that. They should do a good job running things there. Guillermo del Toro has a good relationship with Netflix. He and Chuck Hogan, who wrote a series of books about like a zombie apocalypse, can't remember the name of it right now, but we talked a lot about during Snark Alec Radio. And then it was made to a TV show by FX, and it did fairly well to survive, I think, 4 seasons. Guillermo del Toro is back at it again, but this time instead of FX, it's with Netflix, because his Frankenstein movie is coming out this fall, and he did Pinocchio with them also. So he's doing a good relationship with them. He has another book series with Chuck Hogan, who was his co-writer, called The Boy in the Iron Box. And Netflix has bought the rights to make it a TV series. Right now, it's been picked up for 6 episodes. And the story is an airplane crashes in the mountains. The people on the airplane discover a building with a massive maze-like structure inside, where they are going in for shelter out of the storm and the wolves who are chasing them. But once they go in, they discover that they are not alone in this maze and they have to survive in it. So it sounds kind of interesting. It's going to be set probably next year. And Guillermo del Toro has already cast Rupert Friend, Kevin Durant, who was in the previous show they did, and Jaden Martell. So we'll be probably seeing that sometime next year. But that's the first I heard of it. We got our first poster of Spider-Man Brand New Day. It's just Peter Parker taking a picture with his camera out the window in his little apartment. Angry Birds movie 3 has moved up to December 23rd, 2026, coming out basically like a week after Doomsday. So that's interesting. And Sonic 4 is set to come out March 19th, 2027. So we got that coming up as well. Joseph Kosinski is set to remake a Miami Vice movie, set to come out August 6, 2027. Kosinski has had 2 big hits so far, F1 and Top Gun Maverick, so he's going to try to continue his streak. Speaking of Avengers Doomsday, it has finished filming. So Avengers Doomsday has finished filming. Secret Wars is set to start filming in the middle of next year. So they get a little bit of break now while they get the sets and they get the cast in shape or whatever, and they figure out the script and give everybody a break from working on Doomsday. So everyone's free and clear to do there now. Demian Rugna appears to be the new director for the Alien Romulus sequel. Outlander Season 8 trailer. Don't know much about it. Don't care much about it. Will Forte, Gaten Matarazzo, Jennifer Lewis, and Skylar Gisande are just some of the names for the Haunted Hotel series that is now out on Netflix. I think from the makers of BoJack Horseman or something like that. Hamburger Helper has 2 new mixes, a breakfast mix and a deluxe mix now, so you can work your way about that too. I really don't want to do this, but the Emmys came out. I'm not going to really cover. The Emmys came out this week, and there were some, I'm not really a big fan of the Emmys, but Seth Rogen's show did very well, and Severance did very well. I'm not going to read everything because it's just going to take too long. I just want to get through the show. But you can look it up for yourselves. As I said, I really don't care much about the Emmys, but it was kind of cool that the young star of Adolescence won Best Supporting Actor in a limited series. And he's like a 16-year-old boy. And he got, or 12, I think he was a little bit older than that, 12 to 16-year-old boy who got his award from Sydney Sweeney, got to hug her and her jiggling titties, because that was what everyone's talking about now, is when she walked out with the Emmy, her titties were jiggling. And the day before, they're doing the interviews, pre-Emmy stuff, they asked him who his favorite actor was, who he'd love to meet, and he said Jake Gyllenhaal, and Jake Gyllenhaal was brought in and got to hang out with him, so he was very happy about that. So it was nice to see this young kid win. So there's just too many awards to go over them in one little window. So just go ahead and look it up for yourselves. But I just want to let you know the Emmys have happened. So now we're going to start getting into more of the movie-esque ones. So we're going to start seeing more award shows. Probably not now, but within the next month or so, we'll probably start seeing a lot more coming down the pipeline here. So there we go. Anniversaries, a lot of anniversaries this week. One thing that's interesting that I've been noticing, that, and you'll notice this when I talk about all the anniversaries, a lot of shit came out 41 years ago this year. So that's 1984. So lots of 1984 stuff is celebrating its popular stuff is celebrating their 41th anniversary this week. So we'll cover a bunch of those, but there aren't any here. First up, Prisoners came out 12 years ago this week. That's Denny Villeneuve's first film. ER, the TV show, came out 31 years ago this week. God, 31 years ago. Damn. My Name is Earl debuted 20 years ago this week. Batman Day was Saturday, and it celebrates his creation 86 years ago yesterday. The Hobbit was first released 88 years ago this week, actually today. So today's technically Hobbit Day. Monday Night Football started 55 years ago this week, so hopefully they'll cover that in tomorrow night's Monday Night Football game with the Ravens versus the Lions in Baltimore. So the anniversaries. So the anniversaries, and the big death this week is one of the greatest actors and philanthropists of all time, and one of the strongest supporters of independent film. Robert Redford passed away this week at the age of, 36, 46, 50, of 89 years old. Wow. But he is very well known. He was a sex symbol through the 60s and 70s, and even somewhat in the 80s and 90s as well. In the 90s, he created the Sundance Corporation, or the Sundance Festival, and also there was like a classes that he had people teach about young up and coming independent filmmakers who wanted to start their journey filmmaking. The Sundance Laboratory, I think is what it's called, helped them build that. And then when you made your film, you put it into competition at the Sundance Film Festival. And Sundance Film Festival brought us Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Smith, Robert Rodriguez, the top three. I remember the top of my head from that early 90s, and a whole lot more as that as well. He was also a very beloved director as well. So let's look at his more famous stuff. He did The Chase with Arthur Penn, Barefoot in the Park, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid is probably one of his more famous roles. Jeremiah Johnson, which is where the one meme comes from that you always see, The Candidate. The Sting is another big one that they did, or The Way We Were with Barbara Streisand. The Great Gatsby, 3 Days of the Condor, All the President's Men. That's where I remember him most from, is Bob Woodward. A Bridge Too Far, Richard Attenborough. The Electric Horseman, Brubaker. The Naturals, another big one. Out of Africa, Legal Eagles, Havana, Sneakers, Indecent Proposal, Up Close and Personal, The Horse Whisperer, The Last Castle, Spy Game, An Unfinished Life. Charles Webb, he was the voice of the horse, I think. Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Pete's Dragon, Avengers Endgame. He had a quick role in that. And he was also a director. He directed Ordinary People. He directed the Milagro Beanfield War. He directed A River Runs Through It. He directed Quiz Show, which is awesome. He directed The Horse Whisperer. He produced A Civil Action. He directed The Legend of Bagger Vance. He directed Lions for Lambs. He directed The Conspirator, and he directed The Company You Keep. And he executive produced a whole bunch of stuff, including The Dark Wind, which is that show that's doing very well right now on FX, I think. She's the One, which was one of these young indie guys doing their own, doing their own thing. And he started off in television at Maverick, Playhouse 90, Perry Mason, Alfred Hitchcock, Route 66, Dr. Kildare, The Twilight Zone, The Untouchables, A Virginian. Even appeared in Dark Winds and White House Plumbers, and where he reprised his role of Bob Woodward, which is hilarious. So a life well lived, very philanthropic, very good at helping independent filmmakers do their thing, and good on that. All right. Oh, well. We'll see what happens. All right. Yeah, the page one. 34 minutes on page one, so that's interesting. Peppermint Stick Kit Kat and Snickerdoodle Cookie Kisses are set to come out this holiday season. Octavia Spencer and Jessica Chastain are reteaming for the, I guess, romantic Christmas movie Deck the Yalls, which sounds like funny comedy to me. Arizona Sparkling Apple Lime Ricky will only be available at 7-Eleven, and they'll also be releasing Rizzberry sometime in the next year. As a joke, they made a joke about the Rizzler, but they're going to actually release it. I already talked about that. Batman #1, which they rebooted #1, sold 500,000 copies, so that's a big deal. The Jujutsu Kaisen film trailer set to debut. The movie is supposed to debut December 5th. We got the first trailer for it this week. Alison Brie and Pablo Sciarra are joined FX's witness protection pilot, with Alison Brie playing a madam, which is interesting. And AI Stan Lee is set to talk to fans at the LA Comic-Con, which is really bizarre. Pamela Anderson and her sons are set to start their own production company called And Her Sons Productions. First up on the productions is a TV series based on Barbed Wire, which, for those that remember, Barbed Wire was a movie Pamela Anderson did, and it's based on a comic book by Dark Horse about like a hooker or stripper that goes around and is a like a Batman type vigilante in this dystopian sort of town. With it being Pamela Anderson and her fake tits and stuff like that, and her stripper thing, they really emphasize the stripping and not so much the characterizations that it were. So it'd be interesting to see if they tone down the stuff. But the fact that she's willing to go back to it is kind of interesting and maybe do it justice. I don't even think Dark Horse does the comic anymore, so not even a big deal. Scripts apparently are being written for the Mindhunter reboot. I think I mentioned that a while back. They're going to do like 3 movies, I think. Mindhunter I never watched on Netflix, but everybody seems to love it. And then they hated that it was canceled, and then all of a sudden, hey, it's coming back. What Happens at Night is Martin Scorsese's next film. He's reteaming with Leo DiCaprio for like the 1 millionth time, and working with Jennifer Lawrence. I think it's like a violent ghost story sort of thing, probably about a ghost of some sort of mafia guy coming back to kill people. I don't know, but it's supposedly a ghost story. The Rock, of all people, is set to produce a Teddy Ruxpin movie for Amazon MGM. Okay. Public toilets in China now scan your urine for health concerns, which is kind of interesting that that they scan your pee, and if there's something wrong, I guess they can tell. I guess they send you a warning or say, hey, you need to get checked out, sort of thing. That's kind of cool, actually. People who've watched this show before know that I'm not the biggest Joker fan. I think he's way overused. I think he's extraordinarily annoying, and he's not a very interesting character. I guess, when you utilize him once in a while, it's fine, but they just use him all the freaking time. He's been in every single Batman iteration, it seems like. And it gets overwhelming for a while because it's a blah character. Yeah, we get you. You're crazy. You understand. You're the flip side of Batman. Blah blah blah. We understand all that and the mental. I get it. But it's boring. We see stuff all the freaking time. But every writer who comes onto Batman wants to do their version of the Joker, and that's no different with Absolute Joker, with Absolute Batman. I forget who's writing it right now, but he is bringing his Absolute Joker. And this one could actually be a little bit interesting because the Absolute world is like their ultimate version. So they're trying to do something different with it. And it's a world run by evil. So this makes a little bit more sense. This Joker is like a humanoid lizard-esque type of creature. And we got our first look at it, and that's kind of an interesting take on the Joker. A different take, which could be very refreshing take on it. I don't collect comics anymore, but it might be interesting to look at that. Also, speaking of Batman, because it was Batman Day yesterday, so a lot of Batman stuff was released. Amazon is releasing an all-ages Batman cartoon along with their adult Batman cartoon. Second season, which is probably going to debut next year on Amazon. It's being worked on right now, I think. But last Christmas, Amazon released a short film called Bat Fam. And it was a all ages Batman cartoon with Batman and Damian Wayne and Alfred, stuff like that. And it was a cute little fun story. And it did very, very well since it came out on Christmas and Thanksgiving, whatever. So they decided they're going to make a regular series out of it. So the new Batman cartoon, Bat Fam, is set to be coming to Prime very soon, reprising their roles from the short. Luke Wilson as Batman, Giannis Kibreab as Damian Wayne, and James Cromwell as Alfred. Joining them will be Diedrich Bader and Bobby Monahan, just to name a few of the famous people. And there's a whole bunch of other people involved with it, but it's going to be its own series, more of an all-ages-esque version of Batman instead of the more adult version, which is second season's coming out probably next year. I think I talked about that already. This is really good. Speaking of Netflix, the WB was getting offers from Paramount to join them. So we have a Paramount WB sort of super movie theater run by a MAGA grifter, shitball, shit-faced motherfucker, asshole, dumb fuck. But now Netflix has stepped in and says, yeah, not so fast. We might decide that, every other streaming service seems to have a connection to some sort of film production company. Why can't we? That way, if they get a WB and they buy the WB, they will have the rights to all the WB stuff that's on HBO Max now. So they get the Batman stuff, and they get the Joker, and they get Superman, and they get all the James Gunn DC stuff. So that's kind of interesting to see how that's going to work out. So I hope Netflix gets it. And just as a big fuck you to the MAGA runner of Paramount, and hopefully Netflix will take care of it. Here Be Monsters, a sea survival thriller, is going to Paramount. Speaking of Paramount, they have bought the rights to Here Be Monsters. Insidious 6 is coming in with Lynn Shay reprising her role of the character who's been in every Insidious movie. Joining her will be Brendan Pereira, Maisie Richardson Sellers, and Sam Spurrell. This is kind of interesting. Sleepaway Camp, which was a early 80s slasher flick that after the popularity of Friday the 13th and Halloween and all that, they made their own with a twist that I think it was a trans person who was the killer, which won't fly nowadays. But the original director and writer of Sleepaway Camp is redoing their own film. So I think it's kind of interesting that they're the one that's going to be doing the reboot. So instead of getting someone else just to do it, the original writer director is. That's kind of cool. Because a lot's changed in the last 40-some years. So maybe they've thought about it and said, this is what I could have done better because it was just a cheap slasher film. What can we do now 40 years later? And that's pretty neat. Doesn't surprise me because, college has all kinds of different classes. There's a Buffy the Vampire Slayer one. There's a Taylor Swift college class. There's going to be a Grand Theft Auto college class coming out next year, I think, at one university. I'm not exactly sure the name of it. But yeah, so I don't know what you're going to talk about the Grand Theft Auto in history class, but okay. Daredevil Born Again Season 3 has officially been greenlit by Marvel, so we will be seeing that next year. Not next year. They'll be filming it next year. And I kind of like what they're doing because one of the big complaints people has about series streaming is that, I'll give an example, like Stranger Things. They've only done, 5 or 6 seasons, and it's been over, 10 years since it started. So over 10 years, only 5 or 6 seasons have come out. And that drives people nuts. People are used to every year a new season comes out. So there's some shows that are embracing that now. And this is one of them. So Daredevil Season 1 came out back in February of this year. It did very well. And they've already filmed part 2 because that is set to come out next year, February 2026. So you have a year after the first season comes out, you get the second season. So while the second season is playing, the third season will be filming. And then by the time, 2027 rolls around, February 2027, you'll get Daredevil Season 3. So they're going by a yearly schedule. So that's pretty cool. We really don't need this, but they probably need the money. Camp Rock 3 is in the works with the Jonas Brothers returning. They are no longer relevant. So, hey, let's get back to our nostalgia and see what happens there. Cillian Murphy's follow-up to Oppenheimer, Steve, is set to debut on Netflix October 3rd. I don't think I've seen a trailer yet for it, so they just announced that, so maybe we'll get the trailer sometime this week. We're supposed to get a Scream 7 trailer this month, and since we only have, 19 days left? No, 9 days left, excuse me. 9 days left in the month. Hopefully we'll get it within the next 9 days, so we'll see. Anniversaries, Firefly debuted 23 years ago this week. How I Met Your Mother debuted 20 years ago this week. The Transformers debuted 41 years ago this week. That's the first one. Hunter debuted 41 years ago this week. The Penguin debuted a year ago this week. Agatha All Along debuted a year ago this week. Blue Velvet debuted 39 years ago this week. Doogie Howser debuted 36 years ago this week. And Gossip Girl debuted 18 years ago this week. Death, Kevin Rodriguez Zavala died after riding a thrill ride at the Epic Universe theme park. Brett James, writer of Jesus Take the Wheel, dies in a plane crash. And that's everybody for this page. All right, next page. Ben Stiller and Jessica Chastain are set to team up for a new Apple Plus TV dramedy. Why not? Apple Plus TV is the place to go, apparently. Sabrina Carpenter is going to be very, very busy. She's set to host and be the musical guest for Saturday Night Live's debut on October 18th, which I believe is also the literal 50th anniversary of the release of Saturday Night Live. So the new season of Saturday Night Live is going to release on the exact 50th anniversary date that the first episode released. So Sabrina Carpenter will be both the regular guest host and the musical guest. So Sabrina Carpenter, Seth Rogen is set to be reviving the Muppet Show, and with a special next year on Disney Plus with Sabrina Carpenter as the host. So if you remember the Muppet Show from the 70s and early 80s, they would have a guest on and they would join them in sketches. It's like Saturday Night Live, but it was with Muppets. And so it's 30 minutes. Sometimes it was a musical guest because John Denver did it a bunch of times. You know, Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher did it, blah, blah, blah. So you do sketches with the Muppets, stuff like that. So they're going to be trying to bring back the old school sort of Muppet Show for a modern take. So if it does really well in the ratings, which the way things are going now probably won't because of what happened to Jimmy Kimmel, but we're not going to talk about that right now. We'll see what happens. But I think it's a neat idea because I've always liked the Muppet Show. It's something I always remember about stuff. Stitchhead trailer debuted this week. I didn't watch it. It's the animated Halloween movie said to come out at the end of the month and then eventually be on Netflix. Paul Walter Hauser has been cast in the new Resident Evil movie. The guy who is directing it is what I think who did the Weapons and most recently Weapons. And he said it's going to be an original story, not based on any of the video games, but you'll feel the Resident Evil DNA in it. But casting Paul Walter Hauser in it is an interesting start. We had a new trailer for Good Boy, which is the horror film about a horror movie seen through the eyes of a dog. A24 is delivering Discretion, a legal thriller with Nicole Kidman and Elle Fanning. The Carpenter's Son trailer, we get a teaser trailer for that. And the Chair Company trailer, we get a teaser for that. Dark Black Demogorgon Dip is being released by Doritos, along with the Doritos Pizza and Cool Ranch mixed Doritos flavor. Anti-aging pills for dogs are set to launch in 2026, so your dogs can live a longer life. We're the one for cats, man. Come on. A school administrator in Ohio sold the school district's lawnmowers on Facebook Marketplace, and he got busted for that. That's crazy. The original Halloween and Halloween's 4 and 5 are set to return to theaters as re-releases for Halloween. The original Halloween, of course, is a classic. I might have to go see that in movie theaters, but Halloween 4 was decent, and probably the best of the sequels up till Halloween H2O. Personally, but number 5 just became a generic slasher film. It's very interesting because 4 told a really good story, and they ended on a really killer cliffhanger, which was great. And then they brought in Halloween 5, and they sort of covered the cliffhanger, but not really. And then they introduced a dude dressed in black on a motorcycle who was appearing all over the place, which was kind of a neat idea. But when the film is just a generic slasher, the last girl from Halloween 4 that wasn't related to Michael Myers, the babysitter, she gets dispatched early on in Halloween 5, which is kind of stupid because I guess they wanted to focus more on the girl who was a little bit older now. But as I said, Halloween 5 is just bad, but it had an interesting idea with the man in black on the motorcycle just appearing at random and then helping Michael Myers absolutely decimate a police station. And then they kidnap the young girl, and that's sort of where the cliffhanger was. And then Halloween 6 just went way off the fucking rails and turned into sort of a cult thing. And you got to think about it. It's kind of an interesting idea, but it just became more of a grotesque horror, more gory than used to. If you would have made it a bit more atmospheric and a bit more delved into more of the cult-like sort of thing and not deciding that you need to have all this gore in it, then it might have been pretty decent, but nah, that wasn't the case. But you see a young Paul Rudd, one of his first roles he ever did was Halloween 6, but that's not coming out with years. Halloween 4 is decent with a great cliffhanger ending. Halloween 5 has its moments, but it is a shitty, generic slasher in the end. So, but the original Halloween, of course, is perfect. Wicked is the next big thing, obviously, coming up here in November. There we go. I was frozen there for a second. Wicked is the next big thing here coming up in November. So they're advertising all kinds of stuff here. Takis has got a combo with Wicked. They are going to be releasing the Spellberry Suite, or Spellbook Suite Takis, and the Emerald Heat Takis. So obviously the green one's going to be sort of a jalapeno pepper flavored one, and the pink Takis for Glinda are going to be sort of a sweet, sort of Himalayan sugar sort of flavor, probably, since that's pink. Trailer for The Last Frontier. U.S. Marshal has to capture escaped criminals in the Alaska wilderness. I think that's a TV show. Jared Padalecki and Leighton Meisner are set to star in The Bodyguard. I don't think it's a remake of the Kevin Costner film. Force Majeure casts Natasha Lyonne and Matt Berry. It's a new TV show, I believe. We get our first look at Ryan Gosling in Starfighter, the new Star Wars movie. It looks like he's on a water world type of planet. The last hurdle for the Washington football team has been jumped over, and they are now set to take back RFK's stadium's location in 2030 with a brand new stadium. So that's going to get started built here, but they passed the last thing they can. Marvel Zombie Season 2 is being planned, but will depend on how well the series do. That's set to debut on the 24th, Wednesday. Again, ratings probably won't be spectacular because everybody's canceling Disney Plus because of Jimmy Kimmel. Don to Don gets its Season 3. That wasn't unexpected. Justin Long is set to reboot Grave Encounters with his wife, Kate Bosworth. Holland the Halloween is the first Hallmark Halloween film set to team up the Halloween Town co-stars who got married along with Lacey Chabray. So that's coming up here soon too. Dolphins recognize their friends by tasting their piss, a study shows. that's great. Anniversaries: Jennifer's Body, 16 years ago this week. Rush Hour, 27 years ago this week. The Addams Family TV show debuted 61 years ago this week. Maggie was revealed to be the shooter of Mr. Burns 30 years ago this week. I already talked about How I Met Your Mother, 20 years. I'll repeat it again. Singles debuted 33 years ago this week. Goodfellas debuted 35 years ago this week. Underworld with the luscious Kate Beckinsale debuted 22 years ago this week. And my daughter's college, UMBC, celebrated its 59th year this week. So next year will be the 60th anniversary. My daughter will be there celebrating with everybody there. It's kind of cool. Death, Brad Everett Young, a character actor from Grey's Anatomy and Charlie's Angels, the movie, died at the age of 46. And that's that. Couple other anniversaries real quick. The Substance debuted 1 year ago this week. End of Watch debuted 13 years ago this week. Bernie Plant, a Hall of Fame hockey goaltender, passed away this week. Willie Parker, a former NFL player, died this week. Battlestar Galactica debuted 47 years ago this week. Paula Shaw, character actress from Freddy vs. Jason, Savage Streets, in 89, passed away. Punky Brewster debuted 41 years ago this week. Brooklyn Nine-Nine debuted 12 years ago this week. Captain Planet debuted 35 years ago this week. Muppet Babies debuted 41 years ago this week. It hit bookstores. The original novel, It, hit bookstores in 1986, 39 years ago this week. I remember distinctly, I was at Greetings and Readings, which no longer exists, in Loch Raven Plaza. I went into there and was just looking around. I was a young kid. I was 13 years old, and I saw the hardcover of the hardcover for It, with a tentacle reaching out from a sewer with holding a boat. Didn't know what it was. Didn't even think twice about it because I wasn't a big reader at that time of novels, and it was Stephen King, and it was a scary book, so I didn't look at it. But now it's one of my core memories, which I swear to God I still remember, which is the weirdest thing in the world. Kingdom Hearts debuted 23 years ago this week, and Miami Vice debuted 41 years ago this week. I decided to hit all that since I had some extra anniversaries and deaths. May as well cleared out all those. Billy Lord and Jessica Bush are set to be recurring characters in Monster Season 4, which is about Lizzie Borden, and that has started filming this week. Central Perk, the mainstay coffee house in Friends, is set to get an actual permanent location in New York City this year. Ben & Jerry's co-founder quits after the British food giant that bought them said they would sell the Ben & Jerry's ice cream to the West Bank, which was Israel, which they are against. Jimmy Kimmel was removed by ABC by the convict in charge because he's mean to him. He claims it was because he was talking badly about CK's murder, but he was mostly talking about the convict's response to the murder. When asked about it, he blew it off and pivoted to his ballroom. And because ABC is going to be merging with somebody, and the convict threatened that the FCC would pull the plug on that, ABC bent the knee to that. But ABC is owned by Disney, and so is ESPN and Hulu. So everybody is, boycotting Disney because they removed Jimmy Kimmel for no reason. The stock prices for Disney have plummeted, and I'm not going to get rid of my Disney Plus. And I'm still going to watch ESPN, but I don't watch it all that much anyway. And I don't watch Hulu anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's not a good thing. It is censorship of the highest level, and it's because the convict in charge is a whiny little bitch snowflake who has no backbone and is a little pussy. It just makes me sick. But I'm not one really for boycotting too much. I boycotted Target. That's really the most I've done, but I still had to buy. I set foot in Target once this year, and that was to buy a coffee maker. Not that I was going to Target all the time, but And I'm still using Amazon because it's the easiest way to get stuff that I want to get that you can't get anywhere else, because there's no stores that have any of this stuff that I want to get. There's no video stores. There's no shops that are selling DVDs anymore. And there's no places selling really cool t-shirts that you wouldn't find anywhere else, or these shirts like this or whatever. So yeah, I'm still going to stick with Amazon, and I'm still going to eat at Chick-fil-A because I like their food. And yes, I know they are anti-trans, the owners of it, but I also look at it as, the people who work there, they don't probably have the same beliefs as the owner. They just want a job so they can make some money, take care of their family. So I figure, why shut them down when that could be an issue? Now, you could say that, why are you doing that for Target? Call me a hypocrite all you want. I don't care. But yeah, I'm not going to get rid of my Disney Plus. Not that I watch all that much, but and it's not that's it's a good boycott. Go for it, man. Also boycott going to Disney and not setting foot in any of the parks. Can you do that? That's what I'm asking, because a ton of you always love going to Disney parks. Can you now say, I'm not going to go to a Disney park because of this? We'll see. This is America, for God's sakes. We have our rights. We have our free speech. If you want to boycott, it's your right. If I don't want to boycott, it's my right. It doesn't make me a bad person. If I don't want to boycott, this is America. And if you try to bring me down or whatever, it's my decision. It's not yours. It's still a free country as of now. And if you're trying to bring someone down, you're just dropping yourself into fascism right now. So I digress. We're not going to talk about it anymore. We're going to talk about something a whole lot worse. The Baltimore Orioles have been eliminated from playoff contention. Why not? It's a shitty year for them. They're a shitty team. Hopefully they won't have to go through another rebuild, but it's not looking very good, very promising for them. So it's just back to the drawing board again. We had 2 good years, and now all of a sudden we're back to where we were before. So we'll see if things can change, but I don't really foresee anything like that happening. Euphoria Season 3 is set to debut spring in 2026. In 2026, also, if you want an Uber, you can now order, not now, but in 2026, you'll be able to order a helicopter or a seaplane as your Uber, if you like. At the very beginning of 2026, the newest Game of Thrones spinoff, A Knight of Seven Kingdoms, which is based on a George R.R. Martin novel, is set to debut in January 2026. People are saying this is on par with the original Game of Thrones before the disastrous finale. So fans of Westeros and Game of Thrones should enjoy that show. Speaking of Disney, here's a way you can stick it to Disney if you want. A man in scuba gear robbed a Disney restaurant of thousands of dollars, then jumped into a pond and swam away to freedom. It's perfect. You're in scuba gear. No one can see what you look like because you've got the goggles on, you got a face mask on. You steal the stuff. You flop out, you jump in the water, and you swim away because you're a scuba diver. You go deep enough, the police are going to have to get their boats out. It's going to take a while for their boats to get to that location, blah, blah. By then, you can get out of that pond, get out of your wetsuit, stash your money, drive away, and you're scot-free. So we'll see what happens. Halloween SpaghettiOs are going to be released. That's more along the lines of Halloween-shaped SpaghettiOs. I did not see a meatballs or chicken version of it, just the regular SpaghettiOs. The morning show with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon returns for season 5. Minutes Required trailer for a movie coming out on October 8th on either Amazon or Netflix. Not sure. Didn't really watch it. Jai Courtney is set to join one of the Yellowstone spinoffs called The Dutton Ranch. Oh, okay. In 2016, a rat broke into an ATM in India and shredded $19,000 worth of cash. The Fantastic Four is set to debut on digital on September 23rd, but not on Disney Plus, just on digital, and will be on Blu-ray October 14th. Teresa Palmer joins Chris Hemsworth in Subversion, a submarine thriller. This is something I never thought I would say. The Criterion Collection, one of the most high-scale DVD collection companies out there, is going to be doing a Criterion Collection Blu-ray. They're doing Flow coming out on Tuesday. They're going to be doing Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is freaking awesome. A new 4K version of it coming out for Christmas. I'm going to ask for it for Christmas, and hopefully I'll get it because I want to get the Criterion Collection Pee-wee's Big Adventure. But it just seems really odd to say Criterion Collection Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's crazy, but it's awesome at the same time. We got a Vicious trailer with Dakota Fanning. I don't know much about that. Don't care much about it. We got our first look at One Piece Season 2. This is pretty cool. Also, Trick or Treat is getting a 4K redo, and it's going to be released in movie theaters for the first time ever. It was not released in movie theaters. It was a video on demand sort of thing that became hugely popular and became a Halloween staple. I finally watched it a few years ago, and I enjoyed it immensely. And it is finally going to be released in movie theaters for the first time ever with this new 4K restoration. So that's another one I might have to check out. Maybe it'll be out on the same time as Halloween, do it back to back of Trick or Treat and Halloween. That'd be pretty cool. So that's coming out soon. Plus, that means also they're going to re-release it on 4K Blu-ray eventually also, so that can take care of the video copy I have now. Chris Columbus, who I like, is one of my favorite directors and has sort of fallen off lately, but he was one of the writers of the Night at the Museum series, was also an executive producer of it and producer of it. Excuse me. There's talks that he could come back to be the writer-director, or at least the director for the new Night at the Museum spinoff, because there is a script already written. So he might take a pass at it, and then we'll see what happens. Man in a Phoenix AMC movie theater pees on the audience during the Devil Slayer movie. Kid stood up and screamed about it to his father. His father saw the dude peeing on his son, got up and beat the living shit out of the dude who peed on his son, as well as a bunch of other patrons came in till the movie theater people came in and removed the man who peed. He got busted for indecent exposure and making a mess and so on and so forth. The Dodo is being revived. I think I talked about that already. But no, that'd be cool to have them come back. The Pink Fairy Armadillo, also known as the Argentina Desert Grunt, was spotted. Local news, a bear showed up at Pretty Boy Reservoir and caused a woman to freak out, and she tripped over a thorny bush and cut up her arm pretty good. The bear didn't touch her, didn't bother her, didn't even do anything. We're just looking at her, and she freaked out, but got injured because of her own fear, which is understandable. You don't want a bear to come attack you, but still kind of funny. Trailer for the animated series based on Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Death Watch debuted. They expect to debut on October 14th. New Hallmark Christmas movie called Christmas at the Catnip Cafe, set at a cat coffee shop. A new Amityville horror movie is in the works right now. Could be intriguing. Amityville horror has always freaked me out when I was little, so it's kind of interesting to see that. That should be my last, because I'm on the last page. Last story. Mary McDonald. Mary McDonald. Mary McDonald, who was in Dance with Wolves, is joined the cast of Vision Quest. The Babysitters Club is set to become adapted for the stage. I don't know if it's going to be a musical or just a straight-up play. Macaulay Culkin and his wife, actress Brenda Song, are set to voice the Lynx siblings in Zootopia 2. Interesting that a husband and wife team are going to be voicing siblings. the final Conjuring film is set to become the third horror film in history to pass $500 million. I couldn't tell you who the other two were. I mean, I guess if I thought about it a little bit, I could probably figure it out. But the fact that in all of cinematic history, only 3 horror films bypassed $500 million is insane. The Beast in Me is a new series for Netflix with Claire Danes and Matthew Rhys. You got our first trailer for that. K-pop Demon Hunters is set to come to Fortnite. I think I talked about that last week, as is Dr. Octopus from the Spider-Man movies is set to come out as well. That skin actually looks really, really decent, so I might pick that one up. Solosis is going to be the October Community Day, set debut October 12th. That's stupid. Community Day in October should always be a ghost-type Pokemon, but it's not. Of course, it's going to happen weeks before the Halloween event, but still, you could have done a Halloween ghost, Community Day. Come on, man. Ridiculous. Fall Fair Krispy Kreme donuts. These sound awesome. I wish I could find them. I thought the Giants still had them, but I thought I read somewhere also that they have stopped getting those mini packs. But it includes a cotton candy donut, a caramel churro donut, a blue ribbon apple pie donut, and a cream puff donut. Those all sound awesome. And there's only one Krispy Kreme, but I don't know. It's down the road, and I don't know if they still have them or whatever. The Great Flood trailer. Didn't watch much about that. Set to come out December 19th on Netflix. It's a Netflix film. I think I mentioned this last week, but Practical Magic 2 has finished filming. That's great. I can't wait to see it. I like the first one. The Conjuring the movie series is done, but the TV series is just beginning. That TV series for The Conjuring is set to be getting worked on now soon. I think I mentioned this last week also. The Witcher Season 4 is set to debut October 30th on Netflix with Liam Hemsworth in the lead role, taking over for Henry Cavill. Saw the first look at it. It doesn't look any different to me, so I know the fans are going to lose their minds because Henry Cavill's their god. He's an okay guy. He's a nice guy, and he's an okay actor, but I don't think he's like the geek lord of everything. Same thing as what I believe about Kevin Smith also is I love Kevin, don't get me wrong, but whenever there's a nerdy thing, comic book movie thing, Star Wars thing, whatever, they're always like, what does Kevin Smith think about this? And I was like, doesn't matter because he has nothing to do with it. He's not our geek king. He's a good guy, don't get me wrong, but he's not our geek king. Same with Henry Cavill. He's not our geek prince either. But everybody makes it out to be. So that's just me though. There's a Lilith Fair documentary going to show up on Hulu. Hulu does some pretty decent documentaries as well, so that's pretty cool. Fallout Season 3 has started production. Fallout Season 2 is set to debut in December, so that'd be good there. And this is a good one leading to my next to last story. The entire One Piece saga so far, manga, has been reproduced into one 21,000-page book. 21,450 pages, I must say. Very impressive. Before we do the final story for the week, deaths. Sydney Owen Brown, Drake and Beyonce's producer, passed away at the age of 49. Ted Ford, a baseball player, passed away this week as well. Scott Edwards, a NFL referee, passed away this week. Ed Giacomo, hockey goalie, passed away this week as well. Ricky Halton, a British boxer, passed away this week as well. Anniversaries. The Predator debuted 7 years ago. That was the one that Shane Black wrote about, a alpha predator that comes after a beta one. Law and Order debuted 35 years ago this week. Mork and Mindy debuted 47 years ago this week. Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 8 debuted 4 years ago this week. American Beauty debuted 26 years ago this week. Tiny Toon Adventures debuted 35 years ago this week. Erie, Indiana, which is a great TV show, Saturday late morning, early afternoon show on NBC, debuted 34 years ago this week. Time Cop debuted 31 years ago this week. Animal Crossing debuted 23 years ago this week. And that's it for all the anniversaries and all to death. Our last story for the week. The Microsoft Excel World Championship is coming to Las Vegas. Apparently, there is a competition for the best Microsoft Excel producer, someone who can make them. And it is coming to Vegas. The story came about when the interviewed the winner in Britain. It's a worldwide thing. So he's flying over to Vegas to compete in the Microsoft Excel World Championships. I'm not an Excel guy, so I just find it funny. I don't know. My boss might do pretty good. He loves his Excel. Actually, a couple of my bosses like their Excels. All right, that appears to be it for me this week. This is the end of summer. Next time you see me, sometime next weekend, we will be ensconced in autumn. Thank God for that, right? That's what I'm talking about. So, anything else? Well, God willing, either I don't deserve to be in heaven or there is going to be no rapture. So we'll see what happens this week. We got the rapture coming up this week. We got the Ravens on Monday Night Football. We've got Flo and Superman coming out on Blu-ray. We've got Rosh Hashanah. My son's off school that day. And then potentially my daughter coming back home this weekend. So end of September is going to be a big one, but less than 24 hours. Goodbye, summer. Glad you're gone. Welcome, autumn.